More than 180 new laws in Illinois take effect January 1st, and I'm not going to go through all 180, but there's definitely some ones that you need to know about heading into the new year. Good morning, I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. You can always call in live and local at 217-629-7970, or you can email bishoponair@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Just search Bishop on Air, and you can subscribe, follow, and see all the work that we do here with not just the morning show, but also with the Center Square and Illinois Radio Network. I am definitely a busy guy when it comes to keeping my eyes on all things that are happening, not just with the state government, but even what's happening over in Washington, D.C. with that $1.7 trillion spending bill that they passed last minute before leaving for the holidays in fine style, seeming to follow a lot of the playbook that Illinois has. And last-minute bill drops that are thousands of pages long, leading to virtually zero debate about what those bills have, so the public can actually digest them. But 180 plus new laws taking effect, all right, and that's ranging from taxes to how businesses are impacted to how your home is going to be impacted, education, veterans, local governments being impacted. I mean, I've got a stack here of just some synopses of all of these different laws that are taking effect. So we'll do what we can to unpack some of that for you. But taxes. There's of course the gas tax. It's going to increase January 1st. And that's going to be increased by about 3 cents, I believe, and that's delayed from the gas tax increase that was supposed to take effect July 1st. So instead, lawmakers pushed that to January 1st, so you got a gas tax there, but then you've got another gas tax that's going to be in on July 1st of 2023. So that's going to increase. But you also have some other things impacting businesses that are going to increase as well, and that's the minimum wage. So the minimum wage goes up January 1st to $13 an hour, I believe, and then 2024 it'll go up to $14 an hour, and then 2025 it'll go up to $15 an hour. But that's not the only thing impacting businesses. There's also a job training assistance and support services pilot program that's going to launch, subject to appropriation. And that, of course, is a line that you hear a lot in this legislation. It's new programs, new grants that might be postulated and thought about and then passed, but it's subject to appropriation. They will have to put a line item in the budget to fund a job training assistance and support services pilot program. But there's also a development grant that's subject to appropriation with industrial biotechnology workforce. So that's something else that could impact business. But also some changes and modifications to child labor law. So if you run a business, you might want to get updated on what's going to happen January 1st. You also have several instances that are impacting employers and how they offer benefits, including 1 day of rest in 7 days of work. So that's going to be a requirement. You've also got some grants that are going to be available for businesses in border communities. We hear a lot from some of these business owners, and in particular, like the gas station group, that says a lot of the gas stations on border communities, because Illinois' gas prices are so much higher than our neighboring states, you see a lot of loss of business to other states. And maybe this grant, again, subject to appropriation, for border communities will help out some of those businesses. Also, here's a little brief bit on how businesses are going to be impacted with the new law taking effect. It says it's unlawful for a child sex offender to knowingly operate, manage, be employed by, or be associated with any carnival, amusement enterprise, or county or state fair when the person under the age of 18 are present. So the addition there is prohibiting individuals who are sex offenders from working at a carnival, an amusement enterprise, or a state fair. And we saw that problem pop up at the Illinois State Fair this past year. Also, bereavement time. That's been updated to allow for extended bereavement time for employees. So that's something else. As employers, you're going to have to understand fully and provide those benefits. You also have the unemployment trust fund that's going to be paid off in its entirety, and this was the debt that was amassed whenever you had the COVID-19 situation and the governors requiring businesses to shut down and not have in-person service, and that led to a huge amount of unemployment debt. We still don't know how much fraud there's been, but the legislation's in place now to have that paid off. So those are just some of the various things that are going to be impacting businesses. There's also farmers markets regulations that are put in there, and the Latex Glove Ban Act. So latex gloves being regulated when it comes to the workplace. So those are just some of the laws that are impacting businesses in Illinois. That's a small sample. All right, so in January 1st, those kick in. But coming back, we'll look at stuff that's going to be impacting education, homes, local government, the foreign fire insurance fee, license plates and drivers, and how can we not forget about the Safety Act and all that's going on there when it comes to the implementation January 1st. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more to get to here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and... We've been talking about new laws taking effect January 1st and all the ones that impacted businesses. We talked about last segment, but even homeowners are going to be impacted, including when it comes to lead pipes. So there's some regulations that are going to be taking effect dealing with lead pipes in homes. There's also a mobile home tenant rights amendment that gives some more rights to those who are living in mobile homes, and some other property rights legislation that also deal with condo property as well. So those are just some of the things impacting home ownership or where you dwell, but also how you educate your kids. So one law that's taking effect January 1st, a public school district, or daycare shall provide written or telephonic notification to parents and guardians prior to any application of coal tar-based sealant product. All right. But there's also trauma-informed practices that are going to be implemented in the education space. For school bus drivers, new regulation, it says if an applicant's driver's license has been suspended within 3 years immediately prior to the date of application for the sole reason of failure to pay child support, that suspension shall not bar the applicant from receiving a school bus driving permit. So it seems to give a 3-year buffer of sorts when it comes to school bus drivers as to whether they paid their child support. Also, some legislation and laws taking effect impacting school boundaries, changes to the evidence-based funding model, college and career readiness systems, what constitutes a valid school absence. This one's interesting. It says if it's an event sponsored by a nonprofit organization or governmental entity that is open to the public, civic event includes but not limited to an artistic or cultural performance or educational gathering that supports the mission of the sponsoring nonprofit organization. The State Board of Education may adopt rules to further define civic events that could allow for some allowed absences from schools. Also, you've got veterans being impacted. Veteran homelessness legislation meant to address that. You've got the Veteran Assistance Commission funding legislation to address that. Vital records as well when it comes to veterans. And a Skill Bridge program that's subject to appropriation, but the Department of Veterans Affairs is going to work with others to develop a Department of Defense Skill Bridge program in Illinois to allow for training of qualified individuals. There's a whole host of other legislation going into effect January 1st, impacting local government, including debt collection costs for fire districts. This is fascinating, especially when we've got a lot of fire districts that assist others. So January 1st, a municipality that does not timely make the payment for a fire district, then they could be taken to collections. So pitting fire districts against municipalities and so on. Also, there's some changes to the foreign fire insurance fee program. We've talked about that in the past. Some of you may be familiar with that, but I think this allows for the local body to collect and manage their foreign fire insurance fee, which is a fee paid by the consumer if they get an out-of-state insurance company to insure for fire damage. Since it's not an Illinois company, they pay an extra fee, and that goes into a pot of money that can then be used by the local fire districts for various support services and equipment. So some things impacting local businesses. But then you get into some of the fun stuff. Senior citizens will have some new license plate options. You got a Gold Star license plate that's going to be offered up for the widower and parents of Illinois residents, or each Illinois resident who's a child, stepchild, or through adoption or brother to get a Gold Star license plate. Specialty license plates for fallen police, a mammogram license plate, and also getting rid of the St. Louis Rams license plate while adding a Chicago Sky, Chicago Red Stars, and Chicago Fire license plate. A bunch of other things impacting towing, national driver's ed standards, and more. But then you get to crime and corrections. And of course, the Safety Act is a huge one. But we still don't know the full outcome of the Safety Act lawsuits that's pending in Kankakee County. And actually, we could get that determination as early as today, possibly tomorrow. So that's something else that we'll be updating you on, that lawsuit, and it's likely going to go all the way up to the Illinois Supreme Court dealing with the Safety Act. But hey, have no fear. Also, you've got a host of other things like state designations for the state rock, Dullastone, Sweet Corn Appreciation Day, and a state snake. They saved the day.
From the Fly SPI studios, take the easy way out. WMAY FM, Taylorville.